Hello my dear students, welcome to the next lecture in analog electronics. So in our previous lectures we have already covered the topics of BJT, DC analysis. We have discussed DC load line, how to fix operating point, the different biasing circuits, stability factor and compensation techniques. Now in this and also we have analyzed the small signal amplifier using graphical and equivalent circuit method and developed the equivalent circuit. Now in this lecture we are going to discuss multi-stage amplifier, RC coupled amplifier and frequency response of common emitter amplifier. So why do we need a multi-stage amplifier, or why do we need more than one stage? The gain of a single stage amplifier is not sufficient to build a practical electronic system. So the voltage level of a signal has to be raised to its desired level. So for that purpose you may have to use more than one stage. So when a number of amplifiers or stages are used in succession, that is one after other, to increase the voltage level of the output, it is called the multi-stage amplifier or cascaded amplifier. That is two or more amplifiers are connected one by one. So what is the gain of a multi-stage amplifier? We have defined the voltage gain of an amplifier. So you know that this V1 is equal to A1 into Vs. Vs is the input signal and V0 is V1 for this particular amplifier stage. Similarly, you have this V2 equal to A2 times V1. Okay, and this V0, this final stage, you can say that this V0 is equal to Vn here, and that is equal to An into Vn minus 1. Okay, so if we consider this multi-stage amplifier as a single amplifier, what is the gain of that amplifier, or what is the ratio of this V0 to Vs? How will you find out that? That is, you are defining as the gain of the multi-stage amplifier. That is, all these amplifiers connected in cascade together form the multi-stage amplifier, and the final gain is this V0 divided by this input Vs. V0 by Vs. How can you write this V0 by Vs? It is equal to this V1 by Vs into V2 by V1 into Vn minus 1 by Vn minus 2, the stage before this, and that into V0 by Vn minus 1. Or you can say that the gain of this amplifier is expressed like this: A is equal to A1, the gain of this first stage, into A2 into A3, etc. up to An. Okay, this gain of amplifier is also expressed in another unit which is called decibel. So what is a decibel? Why do we need this unit decibel? We'll discuss that. So it is convenient to compare two powers on logarithmic scale rather than on a linear scale. So the number of bells by which a power P2 exceeds a power P1 is known as number of bells equal to log P2 by P1. Okay, so for practical purposes we use a lower unit than bell. This bell is quite large, so 1/10 of this bell is defined, and that is known as decibel, or its abbreviation is dB. So it's 1 decibel is 1/10 of a bell. So the number of decibel will be 10 times the number of bells, or you can ultimately express this in terms of decibel as 10 log P2 by P1. So for an amplifier, this P1 will represent the input power and P2 the output power. So if you express this in terms of the voltages V1 and V2 at the input and output, you have P1 is equal to V1 square by Ri and P2 equal to V2 square by R0. What is Ri? It is the input impedance, and R0 is the output impedance of the amplifier. Okay, number of decibel is equal to 10 log V2 square by R0 by V1 square by Ri. Now for the analysis, we are assuming this Ri is equal to R0 is equal to R. then the number of decibel is equal to 10 log V2 square by V1 square. If these are not actually equal, but we are taking this to be in the same, considering these two to be in a similar range, we are assuming these to be equal in order to find an expression for the voltage gain. So a number of decibel you can express as 10 log V2 square by V1 square, and this will be converted to 20 log V2 by V1. This is the voltage gain expressed in decibel. So power gain will have only 10 log P1 by P2. When you express that in terms of voltage, you will have 20 log V2 by V1. However, in general, the input and output impedance are not always equal, but the expression is adopted as a convenient definition of decibel voltage gain of an amplifier, regardless of the magnitudes of input and output impedances. Now, just go through this example. An audio amplifier delivers 100 watts to an 8 ohm speaker load when fed by a 100 milliwatt input signal. Calculate the power gain of the amplifier in decibel. So output power is given, input power is given. So what is the power gain? 10 log P2 by P1, or AP is equal to 10 log 100 by 0.1. This is 100 milliwatt. So that is 10 log 1000 or 30 decibel. Now, the gain of a multi-stage amplifier in decibel. Now this can be computed if you know the gain of the individual stages in decibel. We have seen this expression for gain. A is equal to A1 into A2 into etc. up to AN. So if you take a logarithm and multiply each term by 20, that is, we are expressing voltage gain. So you need 20 log A. So 20 log A equal to 20 log A1. This multiplication will get converted to addition when you apply, take the logarithm. So 20 log A1 plus 20 log A2 plus 20 log AN. Okay. So thus this overall voltage gain in decibel of a multi-stage amplifier is the sum of decibel voltage gains of the individual stages. You can simply add the decibel values of these gains to get the overall voltage gain of this multi-stage amplifier. The next question is, why is decibel used? Decibel is used because it permits the gains to be directly added when a number of stages are cascaded. We have seen that. It permits us to denote both very small as well as very large quantities of linear scale by conveniently small figures. When you convert to logarithmic scale, you are representing even larger values by larger quantities using these small values, small figures. So output of many amplifier is ultimately converted into sound, and the sound is received by human ear. So experiments show that the ear responds to sound intensities on a proportional of logarithmic scale rather than linear scale. That is the main reason why decibel unit is used for expressing gain. Now we can go through another example. A multi-stage amplifier consists of 3 stages. The voltage gains of the stages are 30, 50 and 80. Calculate the overall voltage gain in decibel. So here you see AdB is equal to AdB1 plus AdB2 plus AdB3. The voltage gains are simply given as 30, 50 and 80. So in order to convert to decibel, you have to multiply by 20 and take the logarithm of 30. Okay. Thus AdB1 is equal to 20 log 30. So log 30 you have to take and then multiply by 20. Similarly you do for the other two gains, and finally you will get the gain as 29.54 plus 33.98 plus 38.06 or 101.5 decibel. You can verify this what you have done here. Because we could have determined AdB like this: A1 into A2 into A3, that is 30 into 50 into 80. It is 1,20,000, isn't it? The logarithm of this, if you take, that is log 1,20,000 and then multiply by 20, you get the same value. So that is how we have verified this expression. Now, how to couple two stages? We have been discussing about cascaded multi-stage amplifiers. So there are three methods to couple two stages: RC coupling or resistance capacitance coupling, transformer coupling, and direct coupling. We are concentrating on RC coupled amplifier for the time being. So this is a resistance capacitance coupled two stage amplifier. As you can see, there are two amplifier stages here, and this is the input and the output is taken after the second amplifier stage. So you can see the coupling capacitor here. This signal is given as input through the coupling capacitor, and this is the R1 and R2 are the voltage divider resistances forming the voltage divider network. RC is the resistance, RC is the collector resistance. You have emitter resistance, then emitter bypass capacitance, and this coupling capacitor is connecting the output of this particular stage 1 to the input of the second stage. This is the second stage. So this again, at the input of the second stage you have the voltage divider circuit here. Okay, so the signal which is developed across this collector resistance of the first stage is coupled to the base of the second stage through this coupling capacitor. Okay, now this coupling capacitor will block the DC voltage of the first stage from reaching the base of the second stage. So in this way, the DC biasing of this stage, the second stage, is not affected. Okay, because no DC is coming from the first stage to the second stage because of this coupling capacitor CC. So this CC is also known as blocking capacitor. Okay, so this CC, we have been assuming the CC, this capacitor, to be shorted in our AC analysis. But in actual case, there will be some loss of signal voltage across this CC because of drop across this coupling capacitor. So this drop is, we are assuming this drop to be very low in our previous analysis. But at low frequencies, this drop may become significant because ultimately the reactance is 1 by 2 pi Fc. So if this frequency is small, this impedance is going to be high. So at low frequencies, this effect may pronounce, isn't it? So this we'll discuss in detail later, and this is a drawback of this particular coupling scheme. But for frequencies greater than 10 hertz or some above, or frequencies greater than these values, this coupling is very this coupling scheme is, this drawback is not pronounced if for frequencies greater than 10 hertz. So this coupling is one of the best solutions for frequencies above this range. Okay, so next we'll see the frequency response of an RC coupled amplifier. So this amplifier is meant to increase the voltage level of the input signal. So if you consider an audio signal, this may contain frequencies in the range 30 hertz to 15 hertz. So if you convert the audio signal, sound signal, to an electrical signal using a mic, it can have different frequency ranges. So if an amplifier is used to amplify this particular signal, all these frequency components have to be amplified by the amplifier equally. That is, there should not be the amplifier should not cause a reduction in gain when you consider some frequency in this particular signal. So if the amplifier does not do so, that is, if the amplifier does not amplify all the frequency components of the signal equally, the output of the loudspeaker will not be an exact replica of the original sound. There will be distortions which are introduced by this amplifier. Okay, if it is not functioning faithfully for all the frequencies. So the performance of an amplifier is judged by observing whether all the frequency components of the signal are amplified equally well. How do you get this information? Whether this amplifier can amplify all the frequency components of the signal. So this information is obtained from the frequency response curve of an amplifier. So this curve illustrates how the magnitude of the voltage gain of an amplifier varies with the frequency of the input signal, which is sinusoid. Okay, this is the frequency response is the response of the input sinusoidal signal which is given to the input of the given to the amplifier, and we are plotting the magnitude of voltage gain of the amplifier with frequency. So for this you have to measure the voltage gain of the amplifier for different frequencies of the sinusoidal voltage fed to its input. So this is a typical frequency response curve of a common emitter amplifier. So here you can see the gain is plotted on the y-axis, and on the x-axis you can see frequency, but the frequency is the logarithmic scale is used here. So log of the frequency is plotted here. So what is this 10 raised to 0? What does it mean? Or 10 raised to 1 if you take. What is this 10 raised to 1? What is 20 log? Sorry. What is log of 10? This is 1. Isn't it? What is log of 100? It is 2. So this if you take, this is 1, 2, like that it goes. So what does this represent? This frequency is 100 hertz. So log of 100 is 2. So this is showing 100 hertz. This is showing 1000 hertz. Like that it goes. Okay. So log 10 is 1, or log 1 is 0. Sorry, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, like that it goes. Okay. So this is the logarithm of the frequency. Why do we take the logarithm? Because the frequency range is from 30 hertz to some very high value in the kilohertz or megahertz range also you may need to plot the frequency. So if you cannot plot from hertz to kilohertz on one particular scale, plot itself, if you take the actual natural scale here. So here what you do is you are taking the logarithmic scale here, so that all the frequencies of this of the range of input frequencies are plotted on the x-axis. So logarithmic scale is used to for the frequency here, and in decibel you can mark the gain. So this is a plot of the gain versus frequency of a common emitter amplifier. So what can you see here? You can also observe that for low frequency and for high frequencies, the gain of the amplifier reduces to almost 0, or there is a fall of gain at low frequency and high frequency. We will see that. So what happens in the low frequency range? So in the mid frequency range, the coupling and bypass capacitors are as good as short circuit. We have seen that in the equivalent circuit of the when we develop the equivalent circuit of the amplifier. But when the frequency is low, the greater is the value of reactance of these capacitors, because Xc is equal to 1 by 2 pi Fc. So how the coupling capacitor Cc affects the voltage gain of an amplifier at low frequencies? Let us examine that. So here you see this is the output of the first stage, and this is the input of the second stage. So this coupling capacitor is connected to the input. Okay. Now this is the AC equivalent circuit. So here you have beta IB or HFE IB of the first stage, and then RC coming in parallel to that, and this is connected to the next stage through the coupling capacitor. This coupling capacitor is marked here. Okay, this is coupling this stage to this stage. So it is common for the first stage as well as the second stage. and here this output is given, this V0 is taken across this R2 to the second stage. So here you have R1 parallel to R2 when you consider the AC equivalent circuit, and this is parallel to the input resistance of this particular second stage. Okay, so you have this V0 and the output R, which is R1 parallel to R2 parallel to Rin. In between you have this CC in series with this particular impedance, So the same equivalent circuit, if you redraw here, you have HFE IB, the current source, that is the output of this particular stage is acting as a current source. Then you have an RC in parallel to that. Then it is developing the voltage VI, which is the input to this. At this point, it is VI is marked. Okay, between this and this. So this is given to this particular resistance R through coupling capacitor CC. So what happens at the low frequencies? So at low frequencies, the reactance of this particular CC will become sufficiently large. So this will cause a significant voltage drop across this particular capacitor CC. Okay, so what is the result? The effective output voltage will decrease. So the lower the frequency of the signal, higher will be the reactance of this capacitor CC, and therefore the output voltage will be reduced by a larger amount, or ultimately the gain is decreasing because of this drop at CC. So at zero frequency, what happens, or if it is DC, this CC completely blocks, isn't it? CC blocks the DC and the output voltage V0 reduces to 0. Okay, so we can say that the output voltage V0 and therefore the gain decreases as the frequency of the signal decreases below the mid frequency range. So below this decrease is caused by the coupling capacitor CC. And what about the effect of CE at low frequencies? You have emitter bypass capacitor connected parallel to RE. What is the effect of the CE at low frequencies? So at low frequency, we have to analyze the effect of the coupling capacitor and the emitter bypass capacitor. So the effective input voltage is reduced, and therefore output voltage will be reduced if you connect this coupling capacitor, if you analyze this coupling capacitor at low frequencies. How is this happening? This VBE is equal to VC minus I1 RE, isn't it? So if at low frequency, what happens? The CE will, the drop across CE will increase. Why? This XCE will be again 1 by 2 pi FCE. At low frequency, this XCE will increase, and therefore the current through RE will increase. Or which current will increase? The AC component. That is why all these are marked in small letters now. We are doing the AC analysis. So initially this CE is used to bypass all the AC signals. But if the impedance offered by the CE increases, this will reduce the AC current through this particular branch, isn't it? So the current will take the path through RE. So AC, instead of being completely bypassed through CE, some portion of the AC signal will flow through RE. So I1 is that component. Okay. So as I1 RE increases, what will happen? This VBE is equal to Vs minus I1 RE. The effective input voltage to the transistor is VBE, and that will be reduced. And therefore output voltage will be reduced, and this is causing the reduction in gain. So the lower the frequency, higher is the impedance of the capacitor CE, and greater is the reduction in gain. So does gain fall at high frequencies? That is the next question. We have analyzed the low frequency. What is happening at high frequency? So as the frequency of the input signal increases, the gain of the amplifier is reducing. We saw in the frequency response plot. The factors causing this reduction in gain are frequency dependence of beta and effects of junction capacitances, or parasitic capacitances. So frequency dependence of beta. This is how beta AC varies with frequency. It is decreasing as frequency. It is remaining almost constant, and at very high frequencies it is decreasing. It is affecting the gain. Next is the effect of junction capacitances. So junction capacitances exist between the base to collector and base to emitter, and also because of the terminals which are made of metals, metal contacts of this of the transistor, there is also a capacitance between collector and emitter. Okay, we haven't seen these capacitance throughout our analysis so far. Why are these capacitances getting importance when you analyze the high frequency operation of the amplifier? So when the signal frequency is in the low frequency range, we saw how the gain is decreasing, and in some range which is known as mid frequency range, this capacitance is short, this CC gets shorted, then these are not seen in the circuit, and the CE is also getting shorter, and there is no, if or the effect of the capacitances of this particular amplifier is not there, or the gain is almost remaining constant in the mid frequency range. But in the high frequency range, these capacitances are coming into picture. Why? In the high frequency range, the impedances of these capacitors will be shorted type. Like as frequency is in the very high range, the impedance of this particular capacitor will be 1 by 2 pi fc, or frequency will be very high. These will act as short circuited. This capacitance value is very small. Excuse me. So these capacitances are not physically seen in the amplifier. These are due to the junction or depletion region existing at the PN junctions, and also due to the metal contacts of the terminals. So these are known as parasitic capacitances. These are shown in dotted lines because you cannot physically see these capacitances, and these are of very small value, and at low frequencies the C value is also small, this F value is also small, because of which these reactance offered by this is very high, and they are not coming into picture at low and mid frequencies. But what happens at high frequencies? At very high frequencies, though this C value is small, this frequency is very high in the high frequency range, and this impedance will act as short circuit at frequency in the very high frequency range. So we can see one by one the effect of these parasitic capacitances, and we can the detailed analysis of the high frequency range we can do it later. We will just see why the frequency response is showing a decrease in the gain at high frequencies. So you can see this in the first stage you can see CBC, CBE and CCE, as well as in the second stage you can see CBC, CBE and CCE. Along with that you have the CW1 and CW1 and CW2 also. These are the capacitances between the wires CW1 and CW2. So that will also become significant at very high frequencies. See, these wires are also made of metal, so there can be a capacitance, and between the air is acting as the dielectric between that. Okay. So what is the effect of CBC? The capacitance CBC between the base and collector connects the output with input. You can see that here. The CBC is connecting this output with input, or it is giving a feedback from the output to input. So this is a negative feedback in the circuit, and the gain will decrease. This feedback effect is more when the capacitance CBC provides a better conducting path for the AC current. So that is what is happening at the high frequency. The reactive impedance of this capacitor becomes smaller and it is offering a conducting path from output to input, and it is acting as a short circuit at very high frequency. So ultimately the gain is reduced. Now what is the effect of CBE? CBE offers a low impedance path at high frequencies in the input side. You can see this is CBE. It is acting a giving a low impedance path at high frequency here. Or this reduces the input impedance of the device. So if the input impedance of the device gets reduced, the effective input signal is reduced and again the gain falls. Okay. Next, what is the effect of capacitance CE between the collector and emitter? Please note that these capacitances will be significant at high frequencies only. So this will produce a shunting effect at high frequency on the output side. You can see this is coming in parallel. That is from collector to emitter. It is providing a shunting effect. Now, besides these junction capacitors, as I mentioned, there are wiring capacitances CW1 and CW2. This gives rise to some capacitance between the wires through the capacitance, though the capacitance value may be very small. So, but at high frequencies, this will come into picture. So, if Ci is the input capacitance of the next stage, then ultimately you can express Cs is equal to CCE plus CW1 plus CE plus CW2 plus Ci. You can see that here. This will come in parallel. Okay, so the CCE plus C, this is acting as short circuit. This CE is acting as short circuit. So this CCE will be in parallel with CW2 and this will be in parallel with the input capacitance of this next stage. Ci is the input capacitance of the next stage that you are representing by a single that is you are representing the input stage capacitance of the next stage by Ci. Okay, so CW1 will come into picture in the next stage if you are considering the output side of the first stage of the amplifier. Okay, so you can express the output capacitance like this of the first stage, CCE plus CW2 plus Ci. So if you take the output section and redraw the circuit of the output section, you will see that you are representing this as a single capacitor on the output stage by Cs, which is equal to CCE plus CW2 plus Ci, which is the input capacitance of the next stage. So you see, IC is the total current. So what are contributing to IC? The current through RC, the current through the CS, and the current through the output resistance, which is offered by the next stage, that is R1 parallel to R2 parallel to input resistance of the next stage. So we have three branches at the output now. So what will happen if this frequency increases? Though the CS value is small, as frequency increases, this will offer low impedance. So this I2 component will increase. So as the current I2 through this capacitances increases, what will happen? There will be a decrease in this current I1 and I3. Okay. So the total current IC equal to I1 plus I2 plus I3, which is, and it is almost constant. So this means that the output voltage, what will happen to the output voltage? You are taking the output across this. Okay, the output voltage or I3 into R will decrease. So the higher the frequency, the lower is the impedance offered by CS and lower will be the output voltage. So ultimately gain is reducing because of this, because of the effect of this wiring capacitor along with CCE and the input capacitance of the next stage, which are pronounced at high frequencies. Now this is giving you the bandwidth of an amplifier. So what is bandwidth? You are plotting the frequency response of an amplifier like this with a frequency, as I mentioned before, on we are taking the logarithmic scale of frequency. So this 10 raised to 0 is representing 1 hertz, then 10 raised to 1 is this 10 raised to 1 is representing the this is representing 10 hertz, and this is 100 hertz. If you take the logarithm, you have 10 log, I am repeating, 10 log 100, sorry, log 100 is 2. So this is 2 on the logarithmic scale, and this is 1 and this is 0. Okay, and it goes on. So you have represented even, this is 10 raised to 5, this is 100 hertz, this is 1000 hertz, this is 10,000 hertz, this is 1 lakh hertz. So all these are coming on the x-axis now when you take the logarithm. So here you have the gain which is plotted here, AVM, and this is, you can see a point here which is 0.707 AVM. What does this give you? What is the significance of this 0.7707? See, at this point we have marked some frequencies here, and these are known as cutoff frequencies, or these are also known as 3 decibel frequencies. So what is the significance of this 0.707 AVM? Please think about that. This is the maximum gain. AVM is the maximum gain of this amplifier, isn't it? It is remaining almost constant in the mid-frequency range. So what is this mid-frequency range? Beyond this point, you can see there is a decrease in the gain of the amplifier, and you have very specifically marked this point as 0.707 AVM, and we have defined this mid-frequency range between F1 and F2, and I said F1 is the lower cutoff frequency and F2 is the upper cutoff frequency, and the bandwidth is F2 minus F1. Okay, so what is the significance of this particular 0.707 factor? See, the output voltage is what is 0.707? It is 1 by root 2, isn't it? So the output voltage is 1 by root 2 times the maximum voltage at this point, isn't it? Or the power is proportional to square of the voltage. So output power at this particular point becomes half of the mid-frequency range. That is, at this point the gain is reduced to 0.707, the maximum gain, or 1 by root 2 times the maximum gain. Since this is a voltage gain, the power is proportional to V square, so power will be reduced by half. Or this point is also known as, this frequency F1 or F2 are also known as half power frequencies. Also, these are also known as cutoff frequencies. Okay. Also, they are known as 3 decibel frequency. What is this 3 decibel frequency? The gain is expressed in 0.707. So 20 log 0.707 is equal to minus 3 decibel. Or the gain is reduced by 3 decibel at this frequencies. So these are also known as 3 decibel frequencies. Okay. So on the decibel scale, there is a reduction in power by 3 decibel, or there is a reduction in voltage gain by 0.707, or power gain by 1 by 2 are half power frequencies. Okay. Now let us see an example. An RC coupled amplifier has a voltage gain of 100 in the frequency range of 400 Hz to 25 kHz. On either side of these frequencies, the gain falls so that it is reduced by 3 decibel at 80 Hz and 40 kHz. Calculate the gain in decibel at cutoff frequencies and also construct a plot of frequency response curve. So what is the gain at cutoff frequencies? You have to the voltage gain is 100 in the range 400 Hz to 25. So in this range the gain is 40 decibel, 20 log 100. This is the mid-band gain. The gain at cutoff frequency is 3 decibel less than mid-band gain. So at cutoff frequency it will be 37 decibel. 40 minus 3, this is 37 decibel. So this is the plot. So this is the cutoff frequency. So this is 80 marked here, isn't it? Then 400 Hz to 25 kilohertz, it is 40 decibel. Then from 25 to 40 kilohertz it is reducing, and at 40 kilohertz it is 3 decibel, reduced by 3 decibel. So with this I am stopping the discussion on frequency response. We will analyze the high frequency response in detail in the upcoming lecture. Thank you.